Thanks for being here. Subscribe to Cheating Stories Best, so you don't miss new stories.
Hello, William. I said hello as I entered the room. My friend was lying wounded from a terrible accident at the plant. He looked up at me blankly, trying to respond, but all he got was a faint moan. He looked so helpless that I even felt a little sorry for him. I moved closer to him and sat down on a chair with cracked upholstery. He was still moaning. Through his incoherent syllables, I could tell that he was trying to say my name. 2 weeks ago, William and I had finished a new project at the plant and were on our way home. I was in a hurry to see my beloved wife, Donna, with whom I had been fortunate enough to spend more than a decade together. William remained an avid bachelor and didn't want to shackle himself to marriage. He was a big fan of having fun. He occasionally came to visit us, but he preferred to spend most of his free time with charming ladies. I, on the other hand, was a family man. My wife and I always maintained a strong relationship and enjoyed mutual love and support. In the evening, when I returned home, Donna was already waiting for me with a broad smile. We hugged and I told her about the completion of the project and how it had gone. She was happy for me and proud of my accomplishments. I think that's worth celebrating. You worked so hard on this for so long. I'm very proud of you. Thank you, honey. I was thinking maybe we could go out to a restaurant. Or we could just have a little party. Oh yeah. You know, my friends were telling me that there's a new club opening up nearby and there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff. I'd go there. It would be a great place to celebrate your success. You're my sweetheart. I kissed my wife on the cheek. I should get William too. He's been a great help on this case. His contribution has been tremendous. Can I invite him? Donna said yes. I didn't think about it and called a friend back with an invitation to a party and he said yes without hesitation. We decided to continue this evening in a quiet, cozy, romantic atmosphere. Donna had prepared my favorite dishes today, which I supplemented with a collection of wine, and the evening ended with a fascinating love session. The party was scheduled for just this weekend with 2 days to go. Donna went shopping in her repertoire and I stayed home. They gave me a few days off to celebrate the completion of my work. William decided to visit me. He brought along a young girl he had only recently met. She looked very young next to him. Hello, friend. I want you to meet my girlfriend, Jacqueline. He introduced her to me. Hi there. The girl waved, chewing her gum. I took my friend aside a little bit. Is she even 18? I nodded at her. Don't worry about it. She's fine. You know, I went by the office today. Everyone there is thrilled. The project was really a success. On Monday, you and I have to make a presentation to a potential buyer who has agreed to take the prototype into production. Oh, that's wonderful news. My wife will be back soon. I'll make her happy. Will you stay with us for dinner? I offered politely and looked at his girlfriend with embarrassment. Oh, I don't know. We were going to go to a club. Are you coming with us? I said no, of course I liked parties. But not too many. The guests soon left. I was left waiting for Donna. On the day of the party, my wife looked absolutely gorgeous. She bought herself a beautiful navy blue dress, which was simply irresistible. We arranged for a friend and me to meet at the venue, and we drove there shortly thereafter. The club was in a pretty big building. There was a dance hall and a lounge with tables, and there were individual booths too. To celebrate the opening, free snacks were handed out, but you still had to pay for drinks. After a quick tour, all 4 of us were accommodated in a booth for 4. We found it comfortable enough to listen to music and talk to each other. There were different drinks. In addition to the usual ones on the menu, there were a few cocktails that we had never heard of before. We decided that since we were celebrating, we should try something new. William was looking at the menu, perusing it. His girlfriend was clearly not in the mood. Did you two have a fight or something? I asked William when we went out for a smoke after a few glasses of alcohol. She didn't seem very happy about it. Never mind. The little thing was counting on more than I could give her. Now she's trying to get away with it. You should get married. Look at me, it's all nice and calm. We get along well and we support each other. Yeah, your wife's a godsend. But I don't want to hear every night. Where have you been? Who did you go out with? Why so late? You know what I mean. Yeah, I took a drag of my cigarette. We stood outside for a while longer. Then the ladies asked us to dance. Even though I wasn't a fan of shaking things up, I agreed and we went into the noisy hall, crowded with drunken people who were having a blast. Soon Jacqueline took the lead and offered to dance with me and my wife with William. We were groggy enough to resist, so we agreed to a change, seeing nothing wrong with it. The fast music ended and then the slow dance began. The people in attendance did not disperse. It even seemed to me like the crowd was getting bigger and tighter. Jacqueline was hanging on me like a hanger. She was drunk and was no longer sure of her feet, and I had to hold her down. She tried to tell me things and stories, asking what seemed to me to be frank questions. I answered her briefly, trying to keep my distance while glancing in the direction of Donna and William dancing. With music, flickering lights, and alcohol, the state of relaxation filled me more and more. I soon found myself losing sight of my wife and friend. Jacqueline wouldn't let me go, but I tried to make out the right people in the crowd, but I couldn't see anything. A few minutes passed, the dance was coming to an end. Still not seeing my wife, I dragged the girl to our booth and sat her down at a table where she leaned over and started inviting me to join her. But I was worried about my wife, so I left Jacqueline alone and went to look for the missing people. Looking carefully into every corner I encountered, I searched for familiar silhouettes. But soon realizing that they were probably not inside, I went to check outside. After wandering around for a while, I saw them sitting nearby in semi-darkness. I couldn't see very well what they were doing, but when I got closer, I was dumbfounded. William was making out with my wife, and his hands were prowling over her body now and then. Donna didn't seem to resist. She leaned her body against my friend's, and neither of them saw me coming. "What on earth are you doing?" I couldn't believe my eyes. I grabbed William by the scruff of the neck and pulled him away from my wife. He tried to explain something to me, but in my anger at what I saw, I didn't listen to him and just slapped him hard across the face. He fell to the ground, looked at me like a furious beast, and immediately tried to get to his feet, getting ready to fight back. But my anger was gaining momentum, and ignoring his readiness to fight, I lunged at William again, delivering blow after blow. He tried to defend himself, but my rage was furious, and each blow was accompanied by a furious scream. I didn't seem to have any control over myself at that moment. From the corner of my eye, I could see Donna staring in horror at what was happening with her hands over her mouth. We were approached by two huge guys who happened to be the bouncers here. They grabbed us under the arms and dragged us behind the gate where they dumped us. During this time, I tried to pull myself together to reassess the whole situation. The anger had subsided a little, and William and I were exhausted from the fight, and we sat down on the sidewalk. "How could you?" I asked my friend. "And you?" I asked my wife. "Stephen, I'm sorry. I didn't understand anything." She began to cry. William wasn't ashamed of his sass. He looked at me from under his forehead, smirking from one corner of his mouth. "It's no big deal. We're here to have fun. Didn't you and Jacqueline have fun?" "You bastard." I wanted to fight again, but Donna grabbed me, begging me to stop. I didn't want to listen to her. I was disgusted at that moment, but I decided to go home and deal with her there. William stayed there, and we took a cab back home, but by the time I arrived, I didn't want any showdown. I felt very bad, probably because of the unknown composition of the cocktails. Also, my body was aching after the fight, so that night I just went to sleep in another room, not wanting to see anyone else. In the morning, my wife and I talked. She begged me for forgiveness for a long time, all the while referring to the effects of alcohol. In the back of my mind, I knew that anything could happen to anyone in that state. In the end, we came to an agreement. I continued to talk to her as before, although deep down I still could not fully forgive her. A few days went by. William and I hardly spoke at all. Against my wishes, I got to see him at work, and sometimes we did get to talk. One day he came up to me as I was sitting at my desk and I needed to write reports and check some circuits on the computer. William took a chair and without asking, he just sat down next to me. "Stephen, I understand that you hate me for the other night, but I'm truly sorry for what happened. I wouldn't want it to affect our friendship. You have such a beautiful wife, and I wouldn't want it to ruin your family idol. Besides, I have some news I want to share with you. I talked to my boss and I've asked for a transfer to another city. I'm going to go to the client's firm and be the lead engineer there, so you don't have to worry about me anymore. But I wanted to say goodbye to you. After all, you and I have been friends for so many years." I sat staring at the monitor, sometimes fiddling with my fingers on the keyboard. I pretended to be studying something and not listening to him. But the words came to my ears and my brain took in the information without my consent. William walked away. I leaned back in my chair and tried to make the right decision. A little later, I went to my friend's house and decided to talk to him. His transfer was still a month away and we needed to cooperate together. Even if we didn't want to. We chatted and decided not to discuss again, at least at work, the reason for our quarrel. With my wife, I decided to repair my relationship. After all, we had been married for many years, we loved each other, and she had never allowed herself to do this before. I bought a bouquet of flowers and went home early, anticipating the events of the coming evening. But on the doorstep, I realized that fate had decided to give me another big kick in the ass. When I opened the door, I saw a jacket that was very familiar to me hanging on the coat rack. I couldn't wait to find out what was going on. So I went inside. It was quiet in the house, but I heard rustling in the other room. I followed the sound. As I opened the door to the guest room, I realized how stupid I had been lately. Opening the door with my foot from the anger that had abruptly filled my senses again, I caught Donna and William lying on the bed in surprise. My appearance caused them to falter. And Donna again tried to explain something to me, but I no longer believed her and was unwilling to listen. William, on the other hand, began to grin and ventured into a revelation. He briefly told me that he and my wife had been sneaking around for a year and that they had once realized that they loved each other. His words sounded to me like a dream. I was not very conscious of reality at that moment. My only desire was to finish them both off, but my sense of responsibility stopped my intention. But I wasn't going to leave it alone either. I came to my senses quickly, threw the bouquet on the floor, and headed toward William, arms outstretched forward. His self-preservation instinct kicked in, and not wanting to suffer physical damage to his body, he darted away, miraculously missing me. I turned around and looked at my wife, who was writhing in the corner of the bed, her face crimson with shame and rivers of tears running down her cheeks. But I didn't feel sorry for her anymore. I grabbed her by the arm and dragged her out of the room. She made no more excuses but followed me silently. I hurled my wife onto the couch in the hall and ordered her to pack her things and return to the province from which I had once dragged her. I wanted nothing more to do with her and promised to ask for a divorce without leaving her any property. I went out of the house myself in order to calm my anger a little in the fresh air. In the evening, when I came back, I did not find my wife present. Thinking that she had already left, I had a quiet dinner alone and went to bed. Tomorrow was working. And of course, there was to meet the friend who had betrayed me. We had to investigate another project which we had started long before the quarrel. To do this, we had to conduct a test experiment in the laboratory. William was put in charge of it and he put on a special suit and went into a specially equipped room. There was already a decent-sized machine which eventually had to carry out some manipulations with the chemicals. I stayed in an adjoining room observing the process through a special window and on monitors. The feeling of hatred for my former friend did not fade away. A monstrous plan began to take shape in my mind. When William started testing the machine, I had to correct the commands through the computer. It was time to enter the next one. I looked out the window at William. He was waiting for me to do something, but I just stood there and looked at him. He was already starting to shout out to me what I was waiting for and what I should do. But it was as if I hadn't heard him. I lowered my gaze slowly to the keyboard. I leisurely put my finger to the button and pressed enter. The machine in the laboratory began to shake unnaturally and make a kind of grinding noise. The vibration caused the flask of chemicals to fall and the contents to spill. The apparatus began to malfunction and the system went into emergency mode. The door, according to protocol, automatically locked. There was an explosion inside the lab. I only had time to jump out into the corridor. A few days passed. William survived only by a miracle. The explosion was powerful. I visited him occasionally, though I no longer had any friendly feelings for him, more to gloat. I kept going to and from work and home. In general, I led an ordinary life. One day when I came home, I noticed a strange smell in the room. I opened the windows, figuring that it just hadn't been aired in a while. A couple of hours passed and I had already eaten dinner and sat down to watch TV. But the smell didn't go away. It was even getting a little stronger. I decided to check what could cause such a stench. As I walked down the hallway and sniffed around, I realized that the smell was coming from the pantry. When I opened the door, I was horrified. There I saw my wife's body hanging in a noose tied to the top edge of the shelving unit. Over the days, of course, the body had begun to decompose and emit a foul stench. In the clasped dead fingers, I noticed a note. Pulling it out, I read, "I'm sorry, but I can't this anymore." Thank you for listening to this story. Now here is another exciting story for you to read. I have been married to Annabelle for 19 years. This is the love of my life. I still remember that fabulous evening when I met her. It was a warm summer evening. It was incredibly calm outside, not the slightest breath of wind, the leaves seemed to have frozen on the trees. People slowly wandered along the embankment, peering at the sea horizon where the calm sea and the weary sky merged into one. I also enjoyed this picture. I sat on a bench and enjoyed the beautiful scenery and wonderful weather. Suddenly, I noticed how an incredibly beautiful girl with golden curls and very sensual plump lips was climbing up the stairs. Her light summer dress with a slight pink tint perfectly emphasized her beautiful figure. The girl tripped and fell. I ran up to her. "Girl, are you all right? Can I help you?" I extended my hand to the girl. "Yes, young man. Thanks a lot. Please help me get up." The girl accepted my help. "Hurt. I can't step on my foot." The girl screamed in pain. "Grab me by the neck and lean on me. I will help you to reach the bench," I said. "Thank you very much. I have a car nearby. I can take you to the hospital if you want." "I can't ask you to do that. I'm terribly uncomfortable." "Stop it. Everything is fine." I see that the leg swells before my eyes. Apparently, the injury can be serious. "Sit here, I'll drive the car right now." I drove closer to the girl and put her in the car and took her to the hospital. "I'll take you to the doctor, let him examine you." "Well, you don't need me, I'll get there somehow. I've already taken up a lot of your time." "Do not worry. I'm in a hurry for her. I want to make sure you're all right." The doctor diagnosed only a sprain. The bone was the price. The girl was given painkillers and her leg was tied with an elastic bandage. But she still could not move independently and the doctor ordered her leg to be loaded as little as possible. So I kindly offered the girl a ride home. And now we were already near her house, I helped her go home. "Well, here you are at home." "Yes, thanks a lot. You just saved me today. God, where are my manners? I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Annabelle." "Very nice, Annabelle. And my name is Henry." "Very nice, Henry. Thanks again for your help. Today I am very tired, but tomorrow evening I am waiting for you to visit. I want to thank you with a delicious dinner. Unless, of course, you have your own plans." "Annabelle, I will not refuse such an offer." "Then come to 8 o'clock in the evening." "Agreed. Have a good evening." I really liked Annabelle, but in relationships I was very modest and I never really succeeded in anything serious in this matter. And with my way of life, at least the old one, not every girl wants to put up with it. I was a Marine and didn't like being at home. I have had several successful surgeries under my belt. But nevertheless, I decided to finish with military affairs. In ordinary life, I found a great job for myself. I worked as a collector. Annabelle and I continued to meet and got married a year and a half later. Not everything was smooth in our life. Annabelle was quite demanding. She needed more money. I tried to provide her with everything necessary. But my salary was far from always enough for all her desires. And Annabelle herself did not work. She took care of the house and I was supposed to bring income. But one day the situation changed dramatically. My colleague Mark called me. "Henry, hi, it's Mark. Your coworker, remember?" "Mark, hi. Certainly. So much time has passed. How are you? How are you doing?" "Wonderful, Henry, just wonderful. After all, I also finished my military service after you and now I feel great. I work in the banking system and I need a reliable and proven person." "Great, Mark. I'm happy for you. What should be done?" "Guard the money, Mark. I heard you do something similar. But here you will be dealing with more serious amounts. I need a professional I can trust. You will lead the guys and you will transport money. But I'll tell you the details later if you're interested in my offer." "Great, Mark. Yes, of course, I would love to take on this job." "That is great. Then drive up tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll send you the address in a message on your mobile phone." "Great, Mark. I will come. And damn good to hear from you." "And I was glad to hear from you, Henry. See you." "Honey, who called?" Annabelle asked. "Darling, I have good news for you. My former coworker, Mark, called. In general, he now feels very well as far as I understand. And he offered me a job." I hope this is not one of your previous offers where you were promised a decent income but paid a penny. No, my love, there will definitely be something serious. I know Mark very well. If he offers something, then it's definitely worth it. I can definitely give you all the things you dreamed of. The offer will be worth it. I promise you. Well, Henry, it's very good. I'm glad, then let's hope that it really will be so. Annabelle didn't take the news very seriously. Unfortunately, this is not the first time I promised her that I would earn more. But all my previous work did not bring the desired income. But now everything had to change, I felt it. The next day I met with Mark, we discussed everything. Mark really offered a great salary. But it was also risky. It was necessary to transport very large sums of money. I have never seen so much money before. Annabelle was pleased too. When I started bringing more money home, she seemed kinder to me. Our relationship became warmer. She became more interested in my work. Although earlier she did not care where and by whom I work. This change in my wife's demeanor was somewhat alarming at first, but I was happy and decided not to go into details. I loved my wife madly and was pleased to see her pretty and happy. I was proud that I could make her even happier. But a calm and measured life in a happy environment did not last long. Soon an event occurred that radically changed my life. We drove to a secure vault. Today it was necessary to transport a rather large amount of money, much more than the usual amount. This case didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. For me, it was a normal workday. We traveled in an armored cash-in-transit vehicle. On the spot, in the order of things, we opened the vault, took the money, loaded it all into special bags, and took it to the car. Security escorted the car to the exit for the territory. And then we went on a pre-prepared route. There was a driver and another member of the team in front. The four of us and the guys were sitting inside at the back. Suddenly the car rocked from a sudden stop. A bus jumped out in front of our car and we crashed into it. We stayed inside. The guys from the front seat came out to scout the situation. Suddenly I heard gunfire and noise outside. "Hey, bastards, open the van, otherwise I'll blow your partner's head off." I heard a voice from outside. "Guy, don't do stupid things. Just don't shoot." I opened doors. When I opened the doors, I was surrounded by 5 masked armed men. One of them held my partner, put a gun to his head. The driver lay unconscious. He was knocked out. "Guys, take the money. We will not be heroic. Let go of my boyfriend," I said. "That's right. Get away from the car, quickly." My guys were looking at me, waiting for the command to act, but I didn't do it. We were in a pretty disadvantaged position and they had a lot more weapons. We would have been riddled with holes and taken anyway, so I didn't risk the boys' lives. We were tied up and locked in the car, and the money was taken away and left. There were no witnesses here. We were no longer in the city. It was clearly a planned operation. Someone knew a lot of details and carefully prepared. "Damn it, Henry. How did it happen?" Mark asked me angrily. "Mark, it was very fast. Everything was played like clockwork. Someone obviously knew about everything and carefully thought of this robbery. There was a lot of money. We'll be in big trouble if we don't find them. Understand?" "Yes, Mark, I understand and I'm ready to help." "Okay, Henry, maybe there are some details? Did you notice something?" "Yes, Mark, one of the guys, as I understand it, their leader had a tattoo on his wrist. The Spider unit had such tattoos. I've seen a few guys from that unit in my time, rare bastards. They most often perform the tasks of clearing the territory. They are ruthless and cold-blooded bastards." "Got it, Henry. So, then I will try to break through information about the members of this unit through my channels and you remember more details." For several days I tried to remember the details that could lead to new details of this robbery. Mark, meanwhile, found a dossier on the members of this group. "Mark, show me the dossier. I want to look at these bastards. Maybe I'll recognize someone." "Yes, Henry, I picked up a few suitable candidates." I started looking through the photos and suddenly one guy seemed very familiar to me. "I saw this guy just recently. I noticed him in a car near my house." "Mark, I saw this bastard. I definitely saw it. He was near my house. Get the info on where he lives now and send it to me and get the group together. Fun is coming." I found out where that bastard lived. A small private house on the outskirts of the city was registered under his name. He rented it for a few weeks. I immediately went to this place. I realized that most likely these bastards are no longer in the city. They could lay low after the robbery, but I was hoping to find at least some evidence that would help shed light on this case. I stopped away from this house and carefully approached the house. I entered the house through the back door. There was a very secure door, and I easily broke the lock and got inside. There were packages of their Korean fast food here, randomly scattered things. It was hard to find something here, but I kept looking for at least something. Suddenly, I heard the creak of the wheels of a braking car. Someone drove up to the house. I hid in a closet in the hall. What I saw a little later just shocked me. I saw this bastard I was looking for come in, but my wife came in behind him. And she entered voluntarily. He clearly wasn't holding her hostage. Annabelle, in vain you decided to meet now. It's dangerous, we need to lay low now. Jack, I'm just really nervous. Henry has a serious test at work. They are looking for you. And I needed to see you to calm down. Yes, everything will be fine, baby. Thanks to your information, we have prepared the perfect scheme for the robbery. We have money. And your husband and his management will never find anything. I've thought of everything. They are idiots, believe me. Our plan will make us rich. Soon we will be fabulously rich. It should have happened sooner. I'm tired of Henry. That's the only good he gets when he gets this job. This will be my compensation for the fact that I endured this poverty for so long. Yes, baby, now let's go to the bedroom. I'll relax you now. This bastard grabbed my wife by the ass and dragged her into the bedroom. I managed to videotape their entire conversation. I stepped out of the closet and headed towards the bedroom. This bastard was fucking my wife on the bed, digging his muzzle into her chest. I grabbed a floor lamp and hit that bastard with all my might. Get it, creature, I shouted. The bastard flew off the bed, Annabelle screaming like a pig in a slaughterhouse. Shut up, Nit, now everything became clear to me. Oh, you lying bitch. Decided to set me up? Wanted more money? You will get yours. I promise you, you stupid bitch. Henry, please stop. I'm sorry. I was mistaken. Taste lead. Jack yelled and pointed a gun at me. I jumped to the side under the shots of this bastard. Fortunately, he missed. I grabbed a stool and threw it at Jack and immediately ran up to him to take the gun. A fight ensued, but I managed to seize the initiative and shot that bastard in the leg. It hurts, bitch. Jack yelled. Tell me where you hid the money and where your accomplices are. Fast. I won't tell you, you bastard. You, the creature, are seriously injured. You've got a few minutes left and then you'll bleed out if I don't apply a tourniquet. And I have no desire to save you. I will enjoy watching you die. And the last minutes you will spend in agony. But I can try to force myself not to kill you if you turn in your accomplices and the place where the money is kept. Speak, bitch. I shouted, tearing the wound on my leg with my finger. Okay. Stop. I'll tell you everything. Jack whimpered in pain. Jack told me everything. I put a tourniquet on the wound to keep the bastard from bleeding out. I sent a group of my guys to the place where the rest of the bastards were hiding along with the money. Mark called me and confirmed that the money was found and everyone was detained. Well, creatures, your plan failed. And now we're going for a ride. I tied up these naked bastards and tied them to the bed they were fucking on. I have a wonderful idea. The bed was on wheels. I pulled the bed with the bastards tied to it outside and tied it to the car. I drove these naked creatures through the whole city, showing their charms to all the townspeople. Then I delivered them directly to the police station, where the police have dealt with them. The revenge was successful. The whole gang, along with my wife, was sent to jail for a long time. She doesn't need the money anymore. And they gave me an excellent bonus with which I was able to buy myself an excellent house in a very beautiful place, which helped me to enjoy life further and forget about this vile betrayal. Dear viewers, thank you for staying with us and supporting our channel. See you again.